Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to today's video. Let's go ahead and start with, are you guys sick of ads? Because that's usually where a lot of people go for this. So most of you probably heard of Pi-hole. We're going to go ahead and do a Pi-hole install today to show you guys how to get rid of ads, get rid of tracking. I'm going to show you guys the browser that I use when I'm wanting to not be tracked and things like that. So let's go ahead and hop into it. Before we do, though, please hit that like button, hit that sub button. This helps out so much. And this is a great tutorial, not just for cybersecurity professionals, but for anybody interested in getting kind of more privacy on the internet, which is hard these days. Okay, so I'm going to be covering a couple of things. Today is just going to be which browser to use, and there's multiple options out there. These are not all inclusive. And then also setting up Pi-hole, which will block ads and things like that. And then we're going to release another video on setting up your own VPN and things like that. So that'll help out with some of this. So this is a fresh Ubuntu install. You can see it's Ubuntu, fresh install. You don't have to use Ubuntu, but that's just very common Linux. So go ahead and install a fresh Ubuntu install. It can be a VM. It can be, a lot of people run this on a Raspberry Pi. And what the point of that is so that they don't have to have it running on a VM. They can just have it sitting on a little machine and they plug it in. It just runs all the time. So that's very common. I recommend the Raspberry Pi if you have one. I have one, but I don't. I didn't want to plug it in, have a screen capture and all that. I can just do it on a VM and show you guys. So first things first, I want to show you guys which browser to use. So I use Brave is what it's called. And the reason I use Brave is because I use Chrome extensions. And Brave is actually based on Chrome, so it actually allows my extensions to be pulled over and I don't have to do anything. You can see here, this is what it looks like. It's pretty nice. It's pretty simple. It's lightweight. It's a little bit less computer intensive than Chrome. So if you're used to opening up Chrome and seeing your CPU jump up and it's just taking up all your CPU, this isn't like that. So that's a nice thing. You can see it's almost the exact same menu. So we'll go ahead and go to settings, and then we'll just go ahead and we'll look for shields. All right, and you can see here's the nice thing. So you want, so you want tracker and ad blocking. You want this to be aggressive, okay? Now, keep in mind when you're turning all these settings up, it's going to block certain content, right? So if there's something that you specifically should be getting, then you can go ahead and turn this down and try it again. So if there's a site that you know for a fact should have X, Y, and Z and it doesn't and you need it, turn this down or use a different browser to go to it. Now, block scripts, this is the safest way is to turn it on. Yes, it's the safest. But keep in mind, if you block scripts, a lot of websites are not going to load properly. So just keep that in mind. Fingerprinting, you definitely want to strict. Yes, it may break sites. Now, the only reason it may break sites is because certain sites may require a certain fingerprint to get to it. So keep that in mind. Again, you may have to go ahead and change that to get to a certain site. Block cookies. You can do cross-site or you can do all, either one. So cross-site is just, it's not going to save. It's just going to basically when you guys, if you don't know what a cookie is, when you log out, like let's say you log into Facebook, right? Whatever. You're saved on that login for like 30 days or whatever it is. So every time you open up Facebook, it just has you automatically logged in. This is going to stop that. So if that's something that's more convenient to you that you think I don't want to get rid of, then maybe keep it. But keep in mind, it is more dangerous because someone else can use that cookie session to log in. So that's kind of the point. And then you can enable custom filtering so you can see, you can do all kinds of stuff. You can see they actually have lists of popular community lists that and you can see if you enable too many filters, it'll degrade. So they're kind of giving you a walkthrough of it. But this is Brave. It's a very good browser, very nice, very easy to use. And if you're used to Chrome, which I'm sure most people are at least familiar with it, you're going to like it quite a bit. So that's why I use Brave. A lot of people might ask why I don't use X, Y, and Z, why I don't use whatever. I like Brave because my Chrome extensions and favorites and all that stuff just transfer right over, and it's super simple. Okay, so now we're going to do the Pi-hole install. So we're just going to go back to our root directory. Doesn't matter. This is just a test server, so this server will be destroyed. But keep in mind, if you put it on a Raspberry Pi, it's super simple, super easy. So we're just going to say, okay, so we're back. So I had to go ahead and change the it basically wget was doing the wrong thing. So that's fine. I found a little one-liner. I just curled it. Same thing. HTTPS install Pi-hole, and then I piped it right to bash. Now, a lot of people, I'll tell you right now, this is something you should do if you want it to work. But keep in mind, number one, I didn't run it as root. I should have ran it as root. So that's fine for now. Make sure you run it as root. So sudo it. The other big thing is don't do this by normally. Make sure whenever you do this, you 100% know what, make sure you 100% know what you're running, the code, because if you pull something from the internet and then you run it to bash, it's auto going to be running on your computer. And I know my eyes are all messed up in this. It's because the lighting changed so much. I need to get a backlight. So, all right, this will transform your device into a network ad blocker. We know that. Pi-hole's free, but powered by your donations. Perfect. So, if you do like this, make sure you donate, because that's what keeps it going. It needs, okay, so this is where it's very important. Okay, the Pi-hole is a server, so it needs a static IP address. This is 100% true and very important. You need to give it a static IP address. If you don't know how to do that, look back in my previous video on how to keep your network safe, because that actually tells you in your router configurations how to set static IP addresses. Okay, so please continue when the static IP address has been configured. So we're not going to do that here because, again, I'm just going to delete this machine when it's done. But when you do it, you need to have a static IP address. Otherwise, you're going to have all kinds of conflicts. Okay, so you can do either a full install or a Docker install. It doesn't really matter. These are the two interfaces. You can see I have a Docker installation on here. I'm just going to use the regular interface. Okay, here it's going to ask you, select upstream DNS provider. Now, you could do any of these, right? But I would only do ones with DNSSEC for one, but I would only do Google or Quad9, but I'm going to do Google almost every time, okay? Google is the most common DNS upstream server. So what that's doing, if you guys don't understand, is it's taking the server, the Google DNS server, and it's going to actually query it for results. And that's just, if you don't understand DNS, that's just how it works. But basically, you don't want to actually host a DNS server on your machine, because otherwise, number one, it probably wouldn't fit on a Raspberry Pi. It might, but the other thing that reason you don't want to do it is really because what's going to end up happening is, unless you're constantly administrating that, adding, deleting, whitelist, blacklist, blah, blah, you're just going to have really outdated DNS entries. So you actually want to go ahead and use theirs. So like it says here, it actually just says it. Pi-hole relies on third-party lists in order to block ads. So what that means is someone else is going through and adding these lists. So we're going to say yes. Do you want to install the admin web interface? Yes. A web server is required for the admin web interface. So you don't have to do this, but this is what I recommend, because what happens is this allows you, almost like your router, where you can log into it on the web, on a website, and then you can administrate things. So I personally recommend doing it. Yes, enable query logging. You want to be able to log to see who's going to what sites. This is really important if you have kids, if you have anything like that. This is how you can see what's going on. Okay, select a privacy mode. So show everything. Hide domains and clients. So we'll just do show everything. You can do this however you want, whatever you feel most comfortable with. All right, so once it's done, you can see it's loading, doing everything, setting up our settings. And we'll just wait for it. Creating config file. So you can see it's actually setting it up for you. But once this is done, we can go to the website. But first, I want to show you guys how to save the how to change the admin password. Okay. Come on. There we go. Okay. So it's checking for the group Pi-hole. It doesn't have it. That's fine. If you created a group for it, that's fine. It'll check that. Okay, your admin webpage login password is this. Okay, so you want to make sure you know that. So if we lose it, we lose it. But we'll go ahead and make sure we know that. I'll write it down over here. So it'll be Y8NXG1D. Okay. And I don't know if the TAC is supposed to be there or not, but so that's our admin web page, and then there you can see is our website. So we say okay. So now it's installed. It's good. So now what was it? 192.168.28.1, and then admin. Was that it? Probably should have kept that, huh? There it is, 192.196 or 168.1.28. My goodness. Okay, so now that it's running, we can say HTTPS 192.168.1.28, and we can say admin, and you can see if we get rid of the HTTPS, you can see we have a login for the for the Pi-hole. Now we can put our new password in there, and we can say, we'll just try it without the dash first. YANXG1D. Don't save. Okay, so it looks like the TAC actually is important. Okay, so there we go. We're in, and you can see already we've got all these blocks, right? Now, domains on ad list. So there's 184,000 domains that are already being blocked on ad list. Okay, so keep that in mind. So you can go to query logs. So if I go to, let's say, yahoo.com, doesn't really matter, right? Now, keep in mind, you notice, well, for one, this is a VM, so it's a little slower, but you'll notice that it is a split second slower, okay? Split second. Now, you can see all of these are happening on your machine, right? Whether you notice it or not, these are all logs that are happening, okay? So keep that in mind. It's important that you know that. Now, here's a couple of commands that you may want to know. So we'll go ahead and say clear so you can see them. Now, the one that you want to know is sudo tac A, tac P. Whoops, I got to do Pi-hole. So this is to change the admin password. So we hit A, enter a new password, okay? So we'll go ahead and enter a new password and then confirm it. Now, when you go to log into that admin portal, that's your new password. It's important to know that because if you have physical access to the machine, you can change the password if you forget the web browser, okay? Now, another big one that you can do, and I think you can do these from the GUI as well, but you want to say sudo pi-hole, and you just say up. Now, what this will do is this will keep updating it. So the reason this is so important is because if you don't update your Pi-hole regularly, just like anything else, it's going to become vulnerable. Okay, so keep that in mind. Hey guys, one thing I wanted to say before we forgot is, in order for this to work, I totally forgot to mention this, and I'm going to throw it in the middle of the video, so you're going to see a weird cut in there. But one thing I forgot to mention is that in order for this to work, you have to go then to whatever machines you're using, whether it is your computer, whether it is your Linux machine, your VM, whatever, and you have to point the DNS directly to Pi-hole. Now, there's tools that can do this for you, or you can manually do it. There's guides all over the place for that. It's a super simple process. You just change a setting in your computer, and then it'll direct it to you. So make sure you do that, or else this will not work. So if you guys are wondering, if you set it all up and you're like, okay, now I'm on my phone and I'm still getting ads, or I'm on this or whatever, you have to change your DNS settings. Super simple, like I said. There's also tools that can reroute all of your network traffic to set that as your DNS setting. So make sure you do a little bit of research. For those of you that have my Patreon, I will be putting a full guide, write-up guide with how to do this, and also with the additional steps. Now, a lot of you may wonder why I don't do this for every single thing. It's because some of this you're going to need to do yourself, and the reason for that is because there's so many different machines out there that for me to tell you here's how you go and change your DNS settings, it would be incorrect, because if I do it on my Windows machine and you have a Linux machine, it's different. If I have this type of Linux and you have this type of Linux, it's different. So for me to tell you, or if I use a tool and you use a different tool, it's different. So I'm not going to walk through every single one, but I'm going to tell you, you do need to point all of your machines to Pi-hole to change the DNS settings so that it will route through Pi-hole. So make sure you do that, or else this will not work. Thanks, guys. Keep that in mind. So now we have our Pi-hole, And you can see we have add lists that we can add multiple lists to that we're blocking. You can see already we're blocking a bunch of stuff. You can see you can disable blocking if you need to get something and it's not working. You can see all kinds of stuff here. Clients, you can see who's connecting. I'm not going to go to that because, again, I don't want you to see all my stuff on my network. But you can see all kinds of stuff. So this is a really, really good tool that you can put on a Raspberry Pi, set up over wherever, plug into your router. It's going to block everything on your server, or I mean on your network, and you're going to stop from going somewhere. So now let's see if I can find, I thought I had one written down here. Let me see if I can find there's a website that you can test it, I believe. I don't know any straight up, let's see if we can find a deny list real quick. I don't know any straight up domain that is blocked. So you can see here, this is where you can add a domain directly to go ahead and say I want to whitelist it or blacklist it. So we'll just, let's say we want to blacklist https www.random.com. Okay, now we'll just, sure, and we'll say add that to the blacklist. Okay, so it's enabled, we added it. So now we're going to say www.random.com, and you see, look at that, it's blocked. Now we can change this page, right? But it's blocked. So it's completely blocked. We can't go to this site. So now if you have kids, if you have whatever, you can block specific sites that nobody else can go to, as well as you can whitelist certain sites. So if it's getting blocked because it's saying it's an ad, whatever, then you can stop it. So keep that in mind. This is a really good DNS proxy in a sense, and it's really useful, and it's free, and it's super simple to install. You saw it took, what, 10 minutes, 15 minutes? So I want you guys to be secure on the internet. This will prevent you. This won't prevent hackers, okay? Keep that in mind. That's not what this is for, but what it will prevent is ads that come in and put something on your screen that you might click that are then trying to scam you or hack you. So keep that in mind. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully this helps you guys. I know this is an old tool. People have done this for a long time, but I want to make sure that you guys get it and that you guys can fully understand it, and that I explain it well enough that even if you're not a cyber professional, if you're not somebody that's been working in this space for a while, that you can download this and install it at home, and it works just fine. So keep in mind, you can download this on your personal Linux machine, your VM, you can put it on a Raspberry Pi, you can put it wherever you want, as long as it's on your network and set up properly. So hopefully that helps you guys. Hopefully you guys like this. And once again, thank you guys so much. We're trying to stay on the track of doing a little bit more defensive stuff on the channel as well, to help people out, to prevent the offensive stuff, but we're going to keep going back and forth with offense and defense. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please let me know. Please like the video. Please subscribe. Thank you guys. Have a great day.